It's a beautiful afternoon, and I welcome you to the studios of Poly TV Ilaro. It's time for newspaper review and analysis. My name is Femi Afolabi, and I'm joined in the studio this afternoon by Mr. Simon Fakeye, the journalist, the publisher, and of course, the public affairs analyst. You're welcome, Mr. Fakeye.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
Today is the 50th anniversary of the death of the late head of state, General Murtala Muhammad. And people have been talking about, up to now, people have been talking about General Murtala Muhammad as a very worthwhile leader. Though he's a military man, he was a military man, people have been talking about him that his regime, his administration is very, very good for Nigeria during the period he was in power. And we will begin our analysis today with the front page report of Vanguard newspaper, which says, "My father treated corruption as emergency, not talking point." That is Aisha Mohammed Oyebode, that's the daughter of General Murtala Muhammad, eulogizing his father. "My father treated corruption as emergency, not talking point." Mr. Fakeye, like I said, today is the 50th anniversary of the death of that general. And hear what the daughter is saying. What do you have to say about this topic and, of course, General Murtala Muhammad?
Yeah, it's a good thing. 50 years ago, he was assassinated. See, there are some individuals who are so fortunate. Yes, I have to commiserate with the family, the daughter in particular, for the sudden death of her father. Meanwhile, Nigerians have shown a remarkable regard and respect for him, because that's the naming of our international airport. For him is a way of is a way by which Nigeria has shown great respect for his person. We have Murtala Muhammad International Airport up to today. So on the comment, the opinion of the daughter that his father treated corruption as a matter of emergency. Yes, the record shown that as soon as he took over power, he went after the alleged corrupt civil servants and military officers. So I think there is little to read about him, because some of us were young at that time, so to know what really happened. But we read about him. The little we could lay our hands on was that he was patriotic and he really wanted to turn around Nigeria for better. But looking at the way of military head of states, even before after him, maybe nothing, there will have been, maybe he will have tread the same path with his seniors or his junior officers who took over after him. But as Yoruba believe, a reasonable measure of respect must be given to any departed soul. So I wouldn't like to say much about him, but for the fact that Nigeria deemed it fit to name that international airport after him is enough to assure his children that Nigeria remember and recognize his patriotism.
Okay, Mr. Fakeye, shortly before we began this program, my discussion with you, you pointed out that maybe because he didn't stay long in power, that is why people do not see anything wrong, or they didn't read any meaning to some of the things he did wrong. And of course, very many coups that happened after him by the military, they always give an excuse of corruption before they took over. And we are still talking about corruption.
You see, I have tried to avoid making comments on that area. That was why I cited Yoruba culture, that we were trained to always avoid telling ill of departed soul, because if he has stayed more than that, about maybe 7 or 8 months, who knows whether he will have, if he maintained that integrity part, there's every tendency that he will have ended up the way the late former President Muhammadu Buhari ended. Because as at the time former President Buhari left office, the little we could see is that he might not be corrupt, but those who worked under him have created a bad record for him. So, for the late former head of state, it's a good thing. It's not good that he died, but maybe that assassination might have come as a protection for his repute, so that it won't be tainted by allegations of corruptions, embezzlement, and all of that. But because when you look at the comment of Dinka, the reason why they attempted that coup was because they alleged that his government was also corrupt within that short period of time, that he retrenched, sacked civil servants and military officers, senior military officers, without fair hearing. So the allegations were there, but no one, he was not allowed to live long to prove it. So that is why let's be reserved about whatever we have to say about him. Just be contented with the position of Nigeria concerning him by naming him his name after the Nigeria International Airport.
Okay, we move forward. We're going to the front page of Tribune newspaper now, and the banner headline there says, Minna visit, Atiku faults Fayose. Minna visit, Atiku faults Fayose. Shortly after news broke that former Vice President Atiku and Governor of Oyo State, Makinde, visited IBB in Minna. There was no report, there was no statement from the visitor and those who visited. But Fayose came on air to say Atiku went lobbying General Babangida to give support to ADC, while at the same time Atiku is lobbying Makinde to come to ADC so that he come and run with him, being the to fly as the president and Makinde run as his vice down south. So, and those people are saying, where does Fayose get his information? Those who, that he was lying. So the controversy is on now.
They are all birds of the same feather. They know each other. They belong to the same caucus. They are all PDP members of so many years. So they have held many secret indoor closed door meetings. So Fayose could remember how they do it. So, as a former governor and I just have to be careful, but I would say a stubborn politician as Fayose is. So, he must have his insider, his own in that party. So, if he doesn't know what is going on, then we have to blame him. It means he's not relevant again. So I want to believe that Fayose has insider. He knows what is going on in that party. So, and it is natural of politicians to deny anything. I'm sorry. Don't try to believe them. Yes. For instance, there's a case in Ogun State. The former Minister of Health, Professor Iyabo Obasanjo, was at an event in Ijebu-Ode some weeks ago. Some journalists approached her and asked her, "We saw your billboard And what does this mean? Is, we are happy that you are coming into the system again. He said, no, it was her people, her followers, who was forcing that on her, that she was not ready for all those things now. But it ended the conversation. About 2 weeks after, she's out. She has came out to say she wanted to contest the office of Ogun State governor. So the same thing with the case of, you can relate it with the case of Atiku and Makinde. Why did they have to meet with IBB in Minna? What for, if not for presidential election? Then why the combination of the two? Fayose would have calculated that, okay, Peter Obi had left. Who remains again to form an alliance with Atiku? And Atiku will prefer to choose, even the party, to choose the vice president from the south. Then who is relevant when it comes to the vice president ticket? So a just little permutation will have, it gave Fayose that calculation. Then for the second factor is that he must have his own in the party who will be feeding him the way things are going. So we should I think, a bit of believing Fayose than agreeing with the rebuter of Atiku and Makinde.
Okay, let's leave that conversation or controversy. Fayose is now the seer.
Yes. Yes.
Now, giving us information.
Yes.
No,
just as you said, you see, Wike and Fayose are becoming thorns in the flesh of the PDP members, the opposition. It is unfortunate that the two are out now, out of the party. Somehow, they are more pro-Tinubu. So it is a dangerous turnaround for the party.
Let's continue to talk about politics before the 2027. We are going to the front page of a Punch newspaper now. National Assembly to harmonize electoral bill Monday. National Assembly to harmonize electoral bill on Monday. The Senate, at the last sitting, inaugurated an expanded committee to meet with the relevant committee at the House of Representatives on this electoral act. What do you think will be the outcome? Because up till now, there hasn't been uhuru when we talk about the electoral act. People are still taking on the Senate for even allowing manual as our backup for e-transmission.
We are in it together. We are in it together. Whatever we allow politicians to do at the detriment of the unity of this country, the continuity of Nigeria as a whole, may God grant us life to witness it. Because in my own opinion, all these things may not work. The fact remains that we don't have stable power supply, stable network service, and technical inefficiency are all around us. So how are we going to approve of e-transmission, outright e-transmission? To me, it's not possible. But if eventually the Senate and House of Assembly has to reconcile their clauses and come up with the fact that, yes, Nigeria can do it, let's wait and see how it could be achieved. But I doubt it may not. What I see at the end of the day is that they will agree on e-transmission, subject to stability in power and service network. So that is the only way if we want to be reasonable. But if they insist on e-transmission only, it means they are getting ready for tribunal. Yes, because it will not work. And at the end of the day, they will be shouting malpractices or fraud in the election result and all of that. I just don't want to be wasting our time. There's a lot factors that can easily make e-transmission not workable in this coming election. 2027 is here. Today we are having a grid collapse because of maintenance in gas plants.
I was in a discussion with somebody a few days ago, and he pointed out that what we lack in Nigeria, or what gets lost, is trust. Because if we trust our organization, our agencies, and of course individuals, even at the National Assembly, that they will not do anything at the detriment of the society, this shout, this noise about manual transmission, e-transmission will not occur. Because if you trust somebody that he or she will not do anything bad against you, against the society, even when he is faced with enormous challenges, there won't be problem.
You are correct. No trust. Okay, who to trust? The person who also mentioned that cannot trust others. That is the system, the Nigeria we are in. So we appointed people who we cannot trust. So everybody believed that Tinubu is ready, is planning to rig the election. Because some of those people also have rigged during their time. Now, Makinde was a governor. He knows how he ran the affair of Oyo State for 8 years. If there have been any manipulation, he understands. So the former Vice President Atiku has been in the system for 8 years. You know how they carry out the 2023 election, 2003 election, 2007 election. How Oyo State governor was impeached with some few members of the House of Assembly. So they understand all these things, and it remains in their memory. So having somebody, an opposition at the helm of affair now, they can also try to see, oh, this is power, this is how we did it the other time, this man we also want to take advantage of this time around. But I think the fact remains that good thing about Nigeria is whether they like it or not, the election we hold, the result will be announced, and the 2 terms of President Tinubu will end. So if they are to come in, if not by 2031, then they should wait till 2035.
Okay, let's expand the frontier of the discussion a little bit. Jonathan floats 50-year age gap for African presidents. That is a minor report on the masthead of a Punch newspaper. Jonathan floats 50-year age gap for African presidents. I read through the report. Former President Jonathan was advising that rather we should have younger presidents in Africa who he believed would be more agile and more conversant with the trending issues in this modern age than elderly ones.
The former president has spoken well. You see, politicians will always remain politicians. So it's good. To me, I want to see it in two-way dimension. For a former president, after Aso Rock, one must remain relevant. So, campaigning or canvassing for younger ones to be in power is a good thing for former President Jonathan. Good luck. Yeah, so that for relevancy and all of that. But when he was in power, how many of those younger ones were allowed in critical positions? By the time he was to contest for his second and half term, which many people disagreed with, that he has spent 2 terms, that he should allow another person to come in. Some people wanted him to put forward a successor, and maybe that person should have been a younger fellow. Looking at Africa at large, yes, we have been having older ones ruling or as presidents across. But I want to see that as a doctor of philosophy as he is, I think he should have studied Africa species, that our makeup is different from others. We're just a unique breed by God. That this entity called Africa need vast experience, someone with vast experience to govern. It is not about Western education. I think the Bible we all read, some of us read, put it that the race is not for a suit individual. Yes, so it's not about agility. It's not about being active. But that wealth of wisdom that can only be obtained through life experiences can be, will work better for Nigeria and Africa than this Western education. We have it, even, let's go a little bit into history. Nigeria was brought to this stage by the military. But how old were that military officers who were head of states? The Civil War was caused by men of 20, late 30 and early 30s. Here we are today. So for me, I think we need people older than that who can appoint and assign portfolios to men of 30, 40, 50 to assist them. Now, let's go into all the developed countries. How old is Biden when he left office? How old was Trump now? How old was...
Because of our
yes.
time. Let's quickly round up, and I need just one or two statements from you to discuss this. The Guardian on this front page: National Assembly tightens grip on public finances amidst 2027 election funding debate. I think what the National Assembly is trying to do is that money appropriated for public funding should not go into election campaign and whatnot. Can that happen?
No, it can't happen, because when I look at the budget, I think money funds were budgeted for campaigning and electioneering. Yes, they must spend some money there. Maybe they are more concerned about that huge amount, about $1 trillion, than how is it going to be spent. And so I don't want to see it as a way of saying so apologies. But now about $1 trillion is being budgeted for. It's requested by the INEC. The National Assembly was saying, no, we have to look into it. How are you going to spend it? What the money is for, and all of this. So I hope maybe they've now tried to sit tight to perform their statutory role of monitoring and supervising how funds are released, how is it being spent. Maybe at this time we can get it right.
Okay, that is a narrative that we continue to expand on subsequent discussions. Yeah, I want to thank you sincerely for your thoughts and submission.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Program this afternoon. We'll be back next week.